You're listening to Edging the Truth.
We are back once again, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome in. This is Edging the Truth, episode 3. I am your host for this episode, the leader of this episode. I guess we can call this one Fudging the Truth. I'm Andy. You can call me Fudge, Big Fudge Daddy. I am joined, of course, by Brian Shenanigan, Red Raspus, or Dave, and, of course, One Lung, or Mikey Mini Pies, as I like to call him. Today on Edging the Truth, it's episode 3, like I mentioned. We're talking aliens. We are talking UFOs. We are talking unidentified flying objects. We're talking greenies, the little grays, whatever, the millions, the countless stories about aliens that have been recorded over history. And I guess I just want to start, with the most notable one, and something, I guess, more recent that has come out about that whole situation. It's 1947. It's Roswell. With the military member, was he a general? Was he I forget what his rank was. Of course, I have it right here. Terrible start. Jesus Christ. First witness, Major Jesse A. Marcel was the first person on the scene of the UFO crash, the UFO sighting in Roswell, New Mexico in 1947. He was said to have brought a box of material that he found in the wreckage back to his son, and his son had reported this on this documentary I was watching on Netflix today, kind of preparing for this. I think it was called Unsolved Mysteries or something like that. He said, he walks in, he goes, "Son, better look at this now because it's something I'll probably never be able to show you again." And he talked about how it was little pieces of like foil, aluminum foil looking metal, almost like gray, gunmetal material type stuff, lights and kind of fabric and stuff like that. Marcel was immediately called back to the base with all this stuff. A newspaper reported on this incident happening. The United States government originally said it was okay, let this newspaper report that an unidentified flying object, they found evidence of aliens in New Mexico. This report kind of gets to the president, and he's forced to retract his statement and deny that he ever saw evidence of a UFO. So there's new evidence that comes out. They found his diary, I guess, and that's supposed to come out where he kind of opens up, talks more. In the past few years, the United States government has pretty much accepted the existence of UFOs, released government footage of planes and stuff like that, that they have captured. So I don't know. That's enough of me, doing whatever that was. I kind of want to open it up to you guys. We'll start here, as we do on this podcast, and just kind of get your perspective, just what your opening thoughts, I guess, your opening remarks about aliens, kind of your experience or anything like that. So we're going to start with Brian, usually our negative Nelly on this podcast. Let's what do you got this time? How many girls have you fucked that are into aliens? And what else?
Into aliens or in alien costumes? Because these are both. Because I've been to a Comic-Con or 3 of my day, a little a little hey ho hey.
Hey ho.
You haven't lived till you had sex with the back half of a Chewbacca, but there you go. Well, you see the aliens in the background here. I mean, I am a firm believer of the aliens, but I believe also that the aliens know that I feel like that we are too stupid. And I feel like that we are truly seeing it. How movies say oh, these apes, you know what I'm saying? I feel like that's how we're really viewed by aliens, that they're man, we love Earth. If it wasn't for all those fucking apes there, you know what I'm saying? It's because there's been something, especially with all these sightings and the government coming out and stuff like that, basically that it seems like UFOs seem to go into the ocean, and the ocean is our most unexplored thing that we've, especially in the deep parts. And if you make ships that can survive space, I'm sure they can survive in the deep ocean. That there may be something on this planet. I believe there may be something on this planet already in the ocean that we don't know about, you know, like that's where my head is at, yo. But it's like I feel like we were like, oh, we see all the aliens and stuff, like, and like I don't doubt that people have seen aliens and a sort of whatnot has happened with aliens, because I believe there's multi aliens out there, and like much like us with our stupid tourists, I feel like there are stupid tourist aliens that are just coming and dicking around and poking asses and stuff, but like then like the Federation, as it were, or whatever, is like, no, 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 we stay away from them just because they will kill us all, and like fuck them. But it's a nice planet, and we like to go there and see their ocean life. But
Let's.
but I stand. It's been so many years, aliens, like every culture, forever, and you know, a lot of stuff has been blended into TV and movie and ethos now in the modern day of media. That's like it's sensationalized it, but like you talk to these guys, and like these military guys are serious fucking guys. They have no sense of humor. It's been bred out of them, and they're just like, oh yeah, we saw a bunch of shit. Like it's like yeah. I believe that guy. I believe that guy because he's seen a lot of shit. He's killed people. You know what I'm saying? He can fucking see, you know, a Jeep on the ground like from 7 miles away. He's seen shit. Okay, like that. I believe that guy. And like, and so I was like, yeah, I believe in aliens. I believe they are here. I don't necessarily think they're among us. You know, I don't think that. I think it's vain of us to think that like we had exact like there's humanoid that looks just like us out there in the universe. You know that it's got their. So it's like there's totally not look like us. So I don't think like they're among us like that. But like there's still places on the planet, and I think they've probably been coming here for a lot longer than we've been here. And just like it's like as more of the planet got developed, like but we can't go there anymore. The fucking humans they've spread out all over the fucking place. Like remember the rainforest? We used to love the rainforest. We can't go there.
Right?
Like I was saying, like this is
Fuck
a
it all
tourist
up.
destination that we're just like this ignorant species that everybody can just go around.
That is
You know?
that is such a hilarious premise that they're just like fucking humans. Like we can't even fucking go to California anymore. Like, are you like, dude, are you serious with these fucking wildfires? Like, Jesus Christ.
Like you remember?
Well, and then it's especially if you believe in like, you know, not even just believe, but just the galaxy is just like infinite, and there's just like so many different fucking planets or places or dimensions or whatever, what have you, that all of these fucking, you know, beings, creatures, whatever, could come from.
Yeah.
And you know, we've had that. It started really with Roswell, is how they started. You know, the flying saucer, the disc type of thing that has really been, you know, kind of the social norm, or just, you know, I guess the stereotypical, you know, alien spacecraft. So I want to go to Red Raspus. Red, what do you think about aliens?
Well, I'm a firm believer. I mean, I think that goes without saying. I have a family story that kind of is one of those stories that got passed around when I was a kid. It happened to my aunt, not far from where this picture is right here behind me. This is Port Townsend, Washington, and right if you kind of go around the coast this way, you go towards a place.
I love this.
If you go towards this side of my head, you can see. Over here, this in the corner.
Yes, so this is like
to my
right on
ear
the
holes.
peak. This is right on like the peak of the Olympic Peninsula in Washington State.
Don't you come at me with your
And
penis.
and my aunt and her husband at the time were on the beach at this little tiny beach spot called Beckett Point. And late at night, my grandparents had a cabin there, and super quiet little, you know, we're talking like 20 cabins on a beach. Barely power, barely sewer, you know, all that kind of stuff. Late at night, out on the beach, having a fire, fire's going out, you know, 2 a.m, whatever. A light comes out of the sky from far away and comes closer and closer and closer and closer until it's right above them, and then a light shines on them and then disappears and leaves. That's the extent of the details, and she has never really shared anything more. She doesn't like to talk about it, my aunt. She is still alive, but not something that I've ever heard her tell the story. My mom told me the story as it was told to her by my aunt. Now, I think it's also interesting that, you know, you mentioned earlier, Fudge, the Roswell phenomenon in 1947. Also in 1947 is the first kind of actual sighting of a UFO in the air. And that actually happens here in Washington State around Mount Rainier. The beginning of the UFO sighting craze, if you will, begins here. I have no problem believing that. Whether it's growing up with movies like Close Encounters and the believability of those scenarios, even though it's fantastical in movies like that, or things that are a little more earthbound, like the concepts in Fingerprints of the Gods, or Stargate kind of takes that. As a movie, kind of takes that idea that, well, the aliens aren't really aliens; they're the foundation of our civilization, and blah 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 blah. There's this crazy author Zechariah Stitchin who wrote these books about how the Bible is actually based on this legend that another planet came into our solar system, and all our technology is thanks to these people on this 12th mystical planet. Blah 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 blah. There's no dearth of explanations for all of this stuff, and certainly if there's people from another planet out there able to get to our planet, we can't comprehend their technology. Like, there's no way we if we could, we'd be going there too, right? And we're not. So the fact of the matter is, whatever they are doing to come here, it's not to come and become a part of us. They're not trying to join our society. They are far superior in many, 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 many ways, and certainly intellectually if they're able to get a spaceship from wherever they're from to here. But I've always felt like the potential for us to see more truth keeps coming out, right? We just had the TV show, the Project Blue Book, that talked about the early days of UFO investigations in our government, right? The organization that was put together to sort of mete out all these crazy stories that people were starting to have. There's just such a infrastructure in place in this country, and I'm sure in other countries. I would love to know what the Russian UFO version of SETI is and all that kind of stuff. I bet it's equally crazy and far-fetched as some of the things that we've done here in our country. But I'm definitely not a debater. I would love to see something that is a little bit more realistic. And again, we've been flooded with so many people that want to see UFOs and aliens providing their stories. And then you get the stories like Communion of a guy who he didn't really want to have anything to do with this, and then has a very not comfortable encounter with aliens, if you've either read that book or seen that movie. So I don't have any stories like that, though, thankfully. What about you, One Long? You been probed, buddy?
Nope, never been probed.
He looks like a big
I heard the
probe
rumors.
guy.
He's a big probe guy.
But like you guys, firm believer in aliens. I think that if you just look at the sheer volume of space that is out there, galaxies upon galaxies, to think that we are the only living kind out there, I feel is just such a crazy idea. Like, I can't even contemplate that and say, oh yeah, we were the only kind or only livable planet in our vast galaxies that, hey, yeah, we're lucky enough to have life here. Like, no, I feel like there's definitely alien life out there. Whether or not they're so far advanced as Red has said, I'm not sure. It could just be that they've been around so much longer than we have. I look at all of the advancements that we as, humans have made in science in just the short decades that I've been alive. Oh, yeah, and I see that, 100 years from now, 200 years from now, we could have far superior technology to where we may be able to go and discover other places. Maybe these places are already that old or already that past that point. I mean, who's to say? But I do kind of have my own UFO experience in my life, and it's pretty crazy. When I was a teenager, my grandparents actually, like, they ran like the longest self-storage place in Concord or Walnut Creek area down in California, and they had a hot tub out back, and so we were in the hot tub, me and my brother. We were, I was like 14 or 15, he was like 17 or 18. We were just hanging out, and all of a sudden there was a unidentified flying object above our house, and it had 3 lights. It was a triangle-shaped object, and I still remember it. And it did this like spin thing, and there was no noise. It was silent, and it went back and forth, and then it was gone. And it was fast, and it was quiet, and it moved in a way. And I am a huge fan of planes. I know that Shenanigan knows this. Like, I love.
It's a big
planes.
air show guy. Big air show guy.
I go to many air shows. I know airplanes, and this was not a flying object that I could readily say, okay, you know, that's a drone. It wasn't a drone. Like, I know what drones are. I know what they look like, how they move. This was not that situation, and it was not an aircraft. So
you're also talking 20 years ago, right? So drone technology 20 years ago and what it like is today, that's for sure.
Right. But again, and also what also drew me to like, hey, this is something different, was that it wasn't the standard thing that we've seen in movies. It wasn't this round, you know, object that had the lights on the side that did the little, you know, light, you know, they like pattern that you see all the time or hear about all the time. This was a different shaped object that moved completely different than what I've ever seen, and then it was just gone. Mm-hmm. And the thing that is crazy is that my brother was there, and he saw it. You know, and then so like then we start, you know, because we're both analytical thinkers, right? And so then we're like, man, what was that? Like, and so then we start thinking, like, okay, maybe there is some military base around that's doing something. Like, you start looking, and there's nothing, like nothing near us, nothing. And so to this day, I always am like, yeah, that was a UFO. That was 100% a UFO. Now, I can't say it was alien because I, you know, don't know that, but it was definitely unidentified, and it was definitely unique, and it was definitely something that I can't explain what it was. Along with the vast space and time that we have, and all of the sightings that there are out there, and especially with the new revelation coming out, like, hey, yeah, there are UFOs. You know, I 100% believe in aliens. 100%.
So we have a consensus for the first time on the show. All 4 of us are together on this. Aliens!
Yeah.
Like the dude from Ancient Aliens. I mean, I really hope people got that. The meme.
that was a deep cut reference. I like the hand gestures. Those fucking
look at the meme. That's what he's doing. Aliens. So let's have a little bit of discussion. Let's talk about a couple things that we really mentioned here, or I guess kind of tie them in. So, Red, you said you haven't personally had one, but there's a family story. One Long, you said you personally have seen one. I think this is something, it's kind of a theme that I'm sure we'll get into, you know, on this podcast quite a bit when we talk about, you know, these conspiracy theories. But we talked about it with ghosts, is just the amount of people that have similar stories or similar experiences really make me believe in this kind of thing. There was a story from 1994 in Zimbabwe at a school. It was called the Ruwa School Incident. So it was like a group of like 50 to 60 kids all out, like recess. They're all playing outside in the schoolyard or whatever. And it's like a fenced schoolyard, about like 50 to 100, you know, yards down, like out from the fence. They see this like large, you know, floating gray object. So all the school kids like run to the fence to be like, what the fuck is this? So the floating disc or whatever they call it, the UFO hovers for, you know, like 10 to 20 minutes, and then they see little gray people get out of the spaceship. And it's like literally it's 50 to 60 kids. It might have even been more than that, but they're all out at recess. They see a teacher comes out from the school because she sees kind of everybody at the fence to see what's going on. And she saw the same thing. She confirms the report. So next thing you know, they got the BBC, every major news outlet is at this school in Rwanda, and they're kind of doing an investigation. They bring in all the kids that were out there in separately, and they like to just talk to them, do an investigation, kind of like trying to figure out what happened. And they asked them to draw what they saw. Every single one of the pictures was exactly the same. It was a flying saucer and little gray aliens, coming out of or on. They all drew the same shit. Like you get what I mean. So that's kind of where I'm like, man, if all these people had this same experience, like this doesn't seem like a coincidence. I know it's like 50 to 100 kids. It doesn't seem like a lot. You probably could spread it around and be like, hey, let's all say the same thing. But
kids don't do that.
They don't do that.
One would always be a jerk. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right. And
one would be like, I didn't say it. It was made up. You know.
There's more. And I mean, there's more. There's the lights above the New Jersey Turnpike in 2001, the USS Nimitz encounter in San Diego, the O'Hare International Airport saucer, the Stevensville sightings in Texas, the East Go Fast video from as close as 2015. So I guess let's kind of open up to a round table and just talk about, more of those experiences or any really evidence that you guys found that, kind of, turned the tide for you or really made you, turn your head and go, okay, I mean, we might be getting something here. Let's start with One Long.
Well, I think that you bring up a great point. There's so many examples in the world where you have very similar stories. I brought this up when we talked about Bigfoot last week, and I talked about how so many people see the same thing and describe the same thing, and that to me is a tell. Like that tells me that there's a very good likelihood that this exists and it exists in this light. I don't know that there was ever a turning point for me to believe in alien. I think that as long as I can remember, since I saw E.T., as a young kid, like, I believed in aliens. Like, I was like, yeah, that probably...
One long phone home.
Yeah, exactly. But, every single movie that I've ever watched and that had aliens involved in it, I thought, could be true. Whether it was E.T., Men in Black, Independence Day. The one thing that I'm going to say, though, and this is the only thing I want to say about aliens. I think they get a bad rap, right? Whenever you watch these movies, they're the bad guys. Even E.T., like they were trying to capture E.T., right? They were every situation. Like these guys, every single situation I've heard of, none of them have done anything bad to people. None of them. But in all these movies, they're always the bad guy. Always. Except for Independence Day. Independence Day, they were bad in that one. They were trying to murder us, so yeah, that was not
What
good.
about the ones that want to stick stuff up your butthole?
Yeah. I have not experienced that.
Oh.
All right.
You're lost.
I think that's the most like frustrating thing about like seeing those movies like Communion or reading the book. The book is even more crazy. But the depiction of these concepts of like mechanical apparatuses that are testing our precious bodily fluids and visiting us every 1 year and taking samples and like there's lots of those kinds of stories and at least for me I find those to be a little less believable, especially when they're so detailed. It seems crazily detailed. To me, whereas a lot of times when you hear these UFO stories, it's like even like yours, One Lung. There's a vagueness about the experience that you can't exactly describe the how and what of what you're seeing and how it went, and so that's a disparity to me. Like for somebody to be able to have these super highly detailed, and also have memory of the event, and if you're getting experimented on for 2 hours, you mean to tell me that you're not out, like, or at least not like in shock, and your brain isn't processing things properly, and all that kind of stuff, PTSD and blah blah blah, whatever. That seems a little crazier to me. But I remember seeing Close Encounters with my dad when I was really young, and I remember him saying you know, I remember asking him, you know, Dad, do you believe in aliens? He's like, oh yeah. I was like, why do you think they're real? And he's like, because there's way too many people that have seen them that didn't want to see them.
Yeah.
And that was the big thing that pushed me over the edge. It's not that there's evidence necessarily, but that there were a lot of people who didn't go seeking these things and still felt compelled somehow by their experience.
But if we can look at
seeing it.
Fudge's example of the Zimbabwe kids, right?
Yeah.
We look at that situation, and all of them had the exact same image. And I went and, as he's telling the story, I went and looked at the pictures of the kids, and the picture of the alien that they drew, right, is a very strong depiction to a lot of the other depictions that people have seen on the other side of the world, right?
Yeah. All
That
over the world. Yeah.
those kids, in my mind, they're young kids. They're not going to remember that kind of detail without seeing that kind of detail, in my mind.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
I think that that's a great example of what I would say is harder evidence that this is a real, true, in fact, situation.
Brian, what do you think?
First of all, don't bring Bigfoot into this house of truth. We are talking about aliens. This is the truth here. Do not bring the big. Do not do a
Edging
Bigfoot callback.
it, baby.
We're edging the truth here, buddy. If anything,
That's when people with this. When you start saying aliens and Bigfoot in the same no, that's when people start thinking now. But aliens
is my
it's
truth,
real.
Brian.
They're like I said. I stand by the fact that we are a tourist attraction. Even that story with in Rwanda, the fucking people like, oh my god, guys, look at fucking Earth. All right, let's get out for a minute. Everybody, all right, look at this. We're looking at, oh shit, there's people over there. We should probably go. You know, like it's like that's. I feel like it's also like that. There's like a reverse MIB that's like the other way, where they're like making us forget that they fucking saw these people or the aliens. You know, like there's almost like a national park service. That's like make sure that you're visiting Earth. All right, here's your fuck stay. Because even your story, where they're like they came up and they're like, "Hey, you want to see some fucking humans? Let's go." All right, shine the light on that one.
Yeah,
look at
no,
that
that's
fucking
totally
thing. Oh my god, let's fucking go. You know, like we're a tourist attraction because it's and I like building on everything you guys said. I'm sure they're long lived. Their medical technology is so much better. You know, it's like they're long lived. They can travel long distances. They can do all these things. It's a much higher level of intellect. We all know there's stupids in every society, culture, and I feel like there's stupid in every universe. So, of course, we're going to get the stuff. We're going to get the crashes. We're going to get stuff to run into. I think some of these unexpected plane crashes are fucking shit, especially the stuff, like I said, stuff that happens over the ocean. So many of these military videos and all this stuff, it all goes back to like it's mostly over the ocean. It's almost never... You know, and I've seen lights at night. I mean, my uncles and like they're all park rangers or like FBI people. Like they've all been out in the woods and stuff. They're hunters and they've seen shit at night. I mean, like everybody has a story. I've seen shit moving. I've seen lights. I mean, at night, if it's clear enough and you're in a dark enough place, you can see satellites going by. You can see the space station with a not very powerful telescope. I'm sure there's a ton of shit
telescope
out there. So it's, you know, and like I said, and I think if they're advanced enough, it does it. We're like, oh, we're in space. It's like, no, motherfucker, you took a pinky toe out your doorstep. You're on the porch going like space, you know, like it's like we can't even crack it. And it's basically, I feel like any one of these species could probably be like, your bitches are wiped out. You know what I'm saying? Like if that was it, which leads me to believe that that's why there is some sort of higher reverse thing. There is got to be something that's, because like I said, either it's one race that's like just chilling around, or it's a ton of them coming here for the tourist thing, which I firmly believe is that we're a tourist stop in the universe, and it's just, I think that there has to be something that keeps that in check from basically any time of them just being like, fuck it, I want this castle, yoink. You know, like it's because they could.
I mean, we have been in the middle of
whatever. They could take whatever, whoever, whenever, if they wanted to. Because, you know, there's got to be the warrior race. Where's the, you know, Klingons coming here like fucking taking over shit. I'm very hard Next Generation. I feel like I said, there's all shapes and sizes aliens got. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
But I mean,
I think it's crazy to think that once we leave our area, right? Once we're going to space, that we're technically the aliens.
Yeah.
Like, we are the aliens. And if we were to ever make it to their place, like, they're not aliens. We're going to their house. We're the aliens then. And that shit blows my mind.
Yeah.
Well,
Join
have
the
there
mobile
been-
train and save the world.
Does anybody know, have there been any major UFO sightings in the last year and a half? I mean, we have been in the middle of a global pandemic. If I was an alien, I
I'm
would
sure
be
if
like,
we
I'm staying
searched-
away.
I'm sure if
from
we
this
search.
planet.
I mean, like, basically, but also, yeah. A side note: the government
They
basically
probably know
admitted
COVID's
it,
going on.
and
They're
because
like,
we were in the middle of the
That's
pandemic,
what I mean.
everybody was
I
like,
would
we
skip it.
glossed.
Hold
Like, oh
on.
yeah, the government said yeah, basically aliens, yeah, and we were like, okay, pandemic, can't pay attention to this, and it just went by in like a weekend.
Well, they probably picked it up on their ham radio that Earth's probably not safe to be at right now.
Okay, so this is an article from 2 days ago
There we go.
from military.com.
That is-
Spike in UFO sightings across the nation. UFO sightings are on increase nationwide. There has been a spike in UFO sightings across the nation with a recent release of U.S. intelligence UFO report. Are there just more people looking up in the sky, or is it something else? 2020 produced 7,200 UFOs, an increase of over 1,000 from 2019. The U.S. government and military confirmed investigations and sightings of UFOs, bringing this phenomenon back into the mainstream media. Earlier this year, the Director of Defense Inspectors General launched an investigation into how the unidentified aerial phenomena were being monitored by the military. That's just the first paragraph. I'm not going to read the
Oh,
whole
yeah.
thing to you, but Florida
But it's just
resident,
typical. We all got
Florida
things in our
resident
hands.
recently
You know what I'm
caught
saying?
turbs.
We all can record stuff.
Mhm.
But on the flip side, we can also make shit up with this too. So it's a double-edged sword. Because I can make fake UFOs on my phone right now.
exactly.
You know, but like I can also record a real one, and I think that's why it's like, there's just too much video. There's too many just straight up static cameras in the world just shooting one thing all the time that
Yeah.
have to have picked up stuff. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like it's just too many, and it's just what you said. Everybody's at home. People are looking up. They're just fucking chilling in the backyard because
they probably were bored during the pandemic, right?
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
just had
and so-
more shit to do. and
Also,
just more
our
curious.
content. I think that aliens absorb our. We do produce a lot of content that is literally being broadcast out to everything, and they may be like I said, we are a novelty potentially to them. They like our content, they like our planet, but they're like, no, we can't bring the. We're just gonna leave them over there as like the novelty.
Well, and remember all the craziness like a year ago where it was like, oh, look at these rivers. They're full of fish than they haven't been for, 50 years. And, all these things in our natural habitat changed because the world was shut down for a year, To me, that maybe it gives it, look, if we're all inside, that gives them more places to go play, right? Those national parks aren't full of people because the national parks are closed. And things like that. That would all make
National
sense to me.
parks again. So we're supposed to believe all the aliens are just in the national parks? Jesus.
I mean,
Well, it's all stuff they don't have
Devil's
on their
Tower,
planet. I assume.
Wyoming.
They're hanging
have
out
you
with their
seen
homie
the
Bigfoot.
movie?
They don't have deserts. We got every biome in this planet. Maybe
Brian,
it is like
I'm
Star Wars,
trying
where
to
it's like
back
desert
you up
planets.
from last episode, and you're fucking like taking the other side. This is bullshit. Last time I do that.
No flip
Last time I
flopping.
do that.
Bigfoot and aliens are hanging out.
So let's talk about this. I've got a question for you guys. Questions on the edge, as we like to call it. What do you guys think aliens look like? There have been, obviously, the thing that I mentioned earlier, the sighting in Zimbabwe, they all drew them as, short little green beings. I keep saying green when I mean gray. They short little gray beings, but aliens have also been depicted in that similar manner with the large heads, the big eyes, with green skin as well. We see movies and everything depicts aliens in millions of different ways. Brian, I think, mentioned earlier that he doesn't think they all, look exactly like we do. What do you guys think aliens look like? I'm going to start with Red Ras.
I think if we're talking about aliens, then they can't all look alike. I think it's crazy that they would all come from the same place. So I think that maybe what we're seeing or hearing in these reports is multiple species, if that's what we're talking about. You know, if they're green and gray, or if they're tall and they're short, and you know, all those sorts of things. That doesn't seem like they're going to all be from the same place. And if they're not all from the same place, then this gets to be an even weirder, crazier discussion, because are they coordinating trips? Are they, you know, how does that work? Is there a collective knowledge about our planet out there somewhere that we don't know about? But I do think that you know, almost all of my own personal imagery related to what aliens look like, it comes from those movies in the 70s and early 80s. It comes from, you know, it comes from Close Encounters, and it comes from Communion, and it comes from E.T., and it comes from, you know, they're small, they're fragile, they're usually like weird kind of skin. They're, you know, they probably have crazy eyes because they live in space, and so their eyes are different to the light. And, you know, I mean, I think there's all kinds of explanations for that, but I know for me, I wouldn't be surprised if it came in and looked like a dog. I also wouldn't be surprised if it came in and looked just like me. You know, I feel like that while maybe they're both equally preposterous, they're also equally possible if we're talking about aliens.
Okay. Brian.
I go back to the Star Trek theory that, you know, assorted races and whatnot, different technologies, you know, that there has to be some sort of organization out there that kind of does have this collective knowledge on us and stuff for people to come and go from here, or at least to know where this place is and that it's, you know, occupied. There at least has to be some base thing for that. And it's like, I just think it's all shapes and sizes and yeah, many different levels of technology, much like the Star Treks, you know, and I also want to say that, like, in the last few moments, I came to a revelation that I finally think I cracked, and that is that Bigfoot was an alien and that he was fucking landed, and that's why they got his ass on film and we haven't found him since. And, like, I don't know why we didn't make this connection before. It goes back to aliens fucking landing on a planet, and that we fucking Bigfoot, and that's really just a space Chewbacca tourist there. Like, I don't even know why we're not discussing this more. I think we just cracked a revelation here.
So Bigfoot does exist then?
I'm four
if he could be maybe an alien. I mean, all of a sudden, we may have to go back and re-record now that it's like Bigfoot may be an alien, and that's why it's like, oh, on that video, it's so real, and so it's like, yeah, because that was an alien on fucking video, because he was on his way back to his ship, because where else they're gonna hang out but the woods, because there's no people. Yes, I believe that maybe Bigfoots do come and visit the woods and leave.
I don't hate it.
I don't hate it either.
I'm 4 beers and like 4 bombs deep, but like,
do we need to post this somewhere? Do we need to get this news out there?
Exists,
do we put this together by having a thought podcast of themes? But I'm telling you, if they're really all shapes and sizes, the Bigfoot, and it goes back through history, because I think aliens been visiting forever. Holy shit, you guys. We create the mythos and everything.
This guy's on to something.
Oh my God.
I wish that I could show you.
Oh, that means everything in our mythology is solved by alien. Oh, that was an alien. Oh, dragons? Oh, no, yeah, they used to be here, but they were aliens. Sorry, bro.
I wish that I saved my notes from last week, because alien Bigfoot was actually on my list. I just never actually drew the line together. But now you've drawn the line together. I couldn't figure out how.
Does it make sense, though? Does it make sense?
I couldn't figure out how to draw the line together.
As a rational thing, doesn't that not make sense?
Wow, oh my
that does make sense.
Wow, even I'm like, wow.
I didn't think that's where we were gonna go, but that's where we went.
Do you see the revelation that we got to? Wow.
I do see the revelation. So aliens look like Bigfoot. That would explain Brian's Chewbacca fetish from earlier.
But there could be. That's what I'm saying. If there's multiple species of different assorted kinds, the green ones, the hairy ones, the tall ones. You know what I'm saying?
And Brian is rock hard now.
So I have
hard.
Rock. I mean, I've been rock hard this whole episode.
Like an alien Bigfoot.
Catch the fuck up. So I have one more question after this for everybody, but I want to get One Lung's thoughts on this one first. One Lung, what do you think aliens look like?
Well, I think I'm with Red and Brian. I think that, you know, what movies have taught me is that aliens look like all different things. I mean, my favorite alien movie is definitely Men in Black. And if you watch Men in Black, every different planet has different looking aliens. You know, and
Michael Jackson looks like an alien.
Exactly. Well, Yeah.
I mean, that's in the movie, right? He's an alien, right?
Yeah.
Shimona.
Shimona? Is that my Shimona?
But no, I honestly, I think that
My Shimona.
Shimona.
for the idea of the sheer vast area, like I was talking about earlier, to think that there's just one type of alien out there is asinine to me. Like there's multiple different ones out there: green, gray, blue, white, yellow, different sizes, different amounts of hair, tall, maybe Bigfoot looking. You know, I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like all of us on Earth, like we all look different. Like, who are we to assume that all of the aliens would look exactly the same? I think Brian said it earlier, and I brought it up. It's like, I think we'd be dumb to think they'd look just like us, and I think we'd be dumb to think they look all the same.
Yeah.
As well, especially if we believe there are all these different galaxies and all these different places they could come from. It's just like that's infinite, right? So, like, I think it could be just an infinite. Just smorgasbord or whatever you want to call it of different kind of people. So the last question I have for us before we just give our final verdict.
Oh, can I button up that real quick, though? I just like to say that this also helps to prove one long thing, because if we never find any bones of poop from Bigfoot, it's because the bones are on the ship, because if they died, they would pick them up and take them, and they poop on the ship. That's why we don't. Like, I feel like I feel like I just solved Bigfoot here.
Well,
like,
the thing is, like,
Ryan is so high right now.
Very
like
close
he's
to
this
you.
full galaxy brain moment right here.
And I'm just gonna say,
absolutely document
there could
this
still
shit.
be some. There could still be some Bigfoot shit some out there that someone hasn't found yet too. Like there's
No,
a lot
aliens-
of natural force.
The aliens are powering their
If
ships
we
with
go with alien Bigfoot,
shit.
I'm on your side, One Lung. Is what I'm trying to tell you. I finally had this revelation.
We haven't talked crossbreeding or any of that kind of weird shit too. So
Right,
like,
don't you come? Don't, that's a whole nother episode. Episode
That
27.
And
Crossbreeding.
what about aliens that can be shapeshifters?
All right.
Right?
I mean,
That's
look
episode
at the show.
86.
We're
Look at the
gonna-
show. They're Rock from the Sun. Like they took over human bodies. Great show, by the way.
Absolutely. What about the movie The Watch? Good movie. I don't know if you guys have seen that. They were taking over fucking human bodies and shit.
yeah.
So
All right,
here's
let's
my last question.
Sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're fine, Brian. I enjoyed the tangent and the absolute, just full galaxy brain moment you just had there the past couple minutes, just realizing a bunch
The
of shit.
Bigfoot's an alien?
Yeah,
Brought to you by marijuana.
I need that orangutan titties, brother.
So this is Cherry Death Star right now. That's what's really good.
This is going to be a similar question to what we did, on the last episode. What One Lung asked us. As far as evidence goes, we've seen countless videos, pictures of UFOs, personal accounts from people. Do you think that's enough evidence? Do you think what? My question is basically, do you need more hard evidence of aliens to truly believe in them, or do you think there is enough out there right now for you to really say definitively that you believe, that we are not alone? And if there is, what more would you like to see? Like, what more do you need to see? Let's start with One Lung.
No, I don't need anything else. 100% I believe in aliens. Would I like some more? Yes. Would I love to be able to say, oh yeah, I saw an alien last Tuesday. They were going to the local Kroger,
We dabbed. It was great.
I would love. I'd be like, that guy was over at New Seasons. He makes a lot of money on his planet, because that's like a whole paycheck right there. But honestly, like, I think that there's enough out there to prove the aliens do exist 100%. But would I like it to be more open and, just blown right off the hinges? 100% yes. But I don't need any other evidence, I believe.
Red Rass?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would say I'm 90% there. I feel like there's always the question.
So
of,
wait,
like,
hold on. You'd say you're edging?
I'm edging on being for sure. I think the other thing that's tough for me is when this all starts to happen in America, like it all starts to happen post World War II. I think you could very easily explain and say the phenomenon starts as a reflection of the beginnings of the Cold War and where the world was at and all those sorts of things. I mean, that's obviously where they come from in movies and where alien UFO, invaders from space movies come from, right? They're meant to reflect that and play into our fear of that. So there's still enough doubt in my brain. Is this something that has become part of a cultural phenomenon as a result of pop culture, or is it the opposite? Is it actually the opposite, that these stories and these things have become so ubiquitous that they have to be reflected in pop culture? I'm not sure about either of those things, but I do feel like, for me, I have enough evidence to foster my belief, but that doesn't mean there's proof. I mean, we're back to the doubting Thomas thing. Like, I don't need to put my fingers in the wounds for me to believe. And in this case, I don't need to see an alien to believe in aliens. I would love to see an alien to believe in aliens. I think we all would, right? Mm-hmm. But I don't need anything more. And if something else happens in my lifetime where I'm able to have more definitive proof, it's not like I'm going to be like, yes, I was right, and all those idiots that said aliens were fake, they're wrong. No, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me either way.
Absolutely. Great points there from Red Ras. Brian, we go to you, of course.
I mean, like I said, these military videos.
Do you need bones and poop?
No, because like I said, I think like an alien AAA, you know what I'm saying, that like picks up the crashes and stuff. Like, it's like, oh, my shit's broke down, get me the hell off of Earth. Like, I feel like I said, I think that there's just too much evidence taken by military shit that they don't doctor, that the people who see that stuff, these airline pilots that see it all the time, if you ask people who they believe in aliens or not, like, if you just poll, I believe it's more skewing towards believe than not believe, and not just from pop culture. And I think all of that pop culture stuff going all the way back to fucking War of the Worlds still has kernels of truth and shit that people actually saw, that they were like, oh shit, or like a story that their granddad told that he saw, that all of a sudden, comes up with a story, and now that's a movie somebody made. It's like all of these things had to come from somewhere, something, some reference, some whatever. We've had plenty of movies of little gray aliens. We've had the X-Files all up and down, left and right, for, the realest alien we can get with the X-Files stuff, as we feel like this is the most accurate we feel the aliens are, because we're the X-Files, and it's like, but I think that it has to be, and I think that it's impossible for it not to be. There's just too much. It's just, you can't fabricate this much evidence. I don't think, you know what I'm saying? You just can't have this many similar things from similar people, where you talk to I've talked to every human alive. They have somebody in their family, I'm sure, that had some sort of alien thing or some encounter, or they were out somewhere some night and saw some crazy lights they couldn't explain. Plenty of people live nowhere near international airports. So, we're spoiled in these big cities. We think, oh yeah, it's just a plane. It's like, yeah, there's a lot of places in America where planes don't fly over, because they're not on flight routes and shit like that. So there's plenty of places where if you see some shit in the sky, that's not a plane, because planes don't fly here. You know what I'm saying? The planes that do fly there are crop dusters. So it's like
and they're loud.
Too much shit. Yeah, people see too much shit. So it's, and I just say that, I don't need anything else. I believe it. I think I have seen that at the Comic-Con, and at least the people whoever was in those costumes smelled like an alien at the very least. the smells, I'll never forget the unique smells of Comic-Con. So some of those people may have been aliens, because it would make a lot more sense, because I don't think those were human smells.
And he still banged them.
Those costumes.
He still fucked, yeah. That didn't stop him.
So I'd like to say that I haven't, but I have, and you haven't, until you've had sex with a stormtrooper. I don't even know what your life is about.
But a constant theme of this podcast is that Brian truly does fuck. Anyway. I guess, really, I don't really know what much more I could really add to this. You guys really have hit on it, and I agree with everything you have said, and if you are skeptical on this subject, I urge you to do more research. Look up some of the I want to say the more famous sightings, but look up any sighting, anything that really has to do with aliens. And I think read it and take away from it what you will, but I think you'll find some interesting stuff and some stuff that will make you think. I do that you got not Uganda, the Zimbabwe story I mentioned earlier. I believe they are making a Netflix documentary about it. They're either making or already have made. I need to do more research on that. I know that's not really helping anybody by telling you I don't know if it's out or not. If it's out, it's out. If not, it's coming. But that's something I definitely will be tuned into. There has to be something out there. I think, we like to do a final verdict on this show. I don't know if it's really necessary on this one. I think we all know what we think here is.
I think we know where we stand on this one.
We are not alone. Aliens are real. I think that's what we are saying. We would love more evidence, but the amount of evidence and the evidence that is out there right now is pretty telling. And obviously, if these aliens wanted us to see them, I'm sure we would have by now. I think that stuff is going on beyond a lot of people's imagination or wildest dreams. But this has been a great episode of Edging the Truth, or Fudging the Truth, as I'm going to call this one. Episode 3 of Edging the Truth. You can find us at www.edgingthetruth.com. We are on Spotify. Where else are we at, Red? Where are we?
We're on
Apple
Spotify and Google Podcasts. You can go to our website for links to everywhere we are.
Links to everywhere we're at. Please, please, please follow us on social media. Got to build that up. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, at Edging the Truth. Of course, also subscribe to the YouTube. Please like this video as well. Comment. Tell us what you think. Do you think aliens are real? Do you have an experience with aliens that you want to tell us about? Throw it in the comments. We'd love to hear about it. Tell us future topics, something you want to hear us chop it up about, something you want to hear us research. But this has been a great episode. I'm Andy. He's Brian. That's Red. That's One Lung. Edging the Truth. Check us out wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. We are out of here. Aliens!
Visit edgingthetruth.com for more information and links to all our social media and podcast directories.